Now they're completely losing it. You didn't just misunderstand it, they didn't just explain the politics wrong, they didn't just rob you, you also misunderstood the whole thing. Because now the IFO Institute is simply too dumb to write numbers. They made that clear again today at the press conference. And yes, I'll quote it, now the investments will finally start. And the money they embezzled before, let's not say another word about that now, please. So, guys, what kind of press conferences were those today? And when things got heated, Phoenix just switched channels. You weren't supposed to see that anymore.
Maybe just briefly about EFO and IW. What kind of share of the funds ultimately spent on other household matters do you expect from the special fund?
Clear, structured question. How much money did you embezzle in the budget and didn't explain the whole thing to the taxpayers? And now listen to what kind of answer he has. It's actually pretty absurd. By the way, YouTube likes to restrict this channel because I tell you the truth out there about the political spectrum. That's why I would really appreciate a like and a subscription. And one more thing on the side. I recorded the midday video today while having a high fever, and I somehow didn't really realize it. That I included the same clip 3 times. Please forgive me for that. Everything is for freedom here in Germany. Everything so that the next elections will look different. That's why there are also 3 videos per day, to convince even more voters that both the Social Democratic Party and Christian Democratic Union are just a huge pile of lies.
As for the exact numbers, please forgive me that I haven't only studied the IFO study today, but also many other things. But I'm very sure that we can also present in a very transparent process what the respective shares have been, or rather what they are at the moment. Now it's moving over to the 2026 budget and how we will ultimately use the special fund compared to the general budget.
As transparent as the Corinna investigation, as transparent as the 551 questions to the NGOs, or as transparent as so many other things. Like the COMEX affair, for example, so transparent, you'll probably investigate it, which means we'll never hear about it again. Unless the Constitutional Court gets involved now, but we don't know that for sure yet. Weil die haben nämlich heute They received documents because of the embezzlement of taxpayers' money, and now they're supposed to take care of how things will proceed, but we don't know that yet. And now take a look. Yes, that was the last question. And see what Phoenix does with it, even though there should actually be another question.
Unfortunately, we don't have any more time for more questions, but we'll see each other again next week. When you have your questions...
Thanks. Sorry, not Phoenix. What will the Social Democratic Party do about it? Oh, we don't have any more time for questions. That could possibly look bad for us. Someone could prove the fraud against us. We don't have any more time. What happened with the Social Democratic Party, especially Jens Spahn? I'll show you that now.
But let me also say something about the discussion around the question. How are the funds from the special assets being used? We are handling these funds, ladies and gentlemen, very responsibly.
Then you will surely tell us exactly where the money has gone now. We already know that. Yes, and why these reports are completely wrong. Yes, that they're just made up because we've heard this phrase over and over again.
A federal budget is not a closed system in itself, and that's why any theoretical consideration is out of the question. To ensure the targeted and lawful investment of these funds, we introduced the criterion of additionality. That we comply, that we make sure the funds are not used for consumptive expenditures. Often when special funds are created, it is not yet possible to say whether the funds have been used in accordance with the law. We do not misuse funds. What matters is that the funds are used for an investment that then sets value creation in motion in the country.
You have to manage that first, yeah, to pack so much nonsense into a few sentences. I could talk with a fever and still do better than him. What did he even say? So he's connecting himself that you should definitely believe somehow, yeah, that the funds were misused. They handled the money very, very carefully. And please don't ask any questions because after all, that would You don't spend it on consumer things, but for what exactly? What is actually being renewed here? Nothing. In any case, it doesn't reach the economy because they definitely say that. There's no improvement here, so they better come up with other lies. And the reporter at the end, he summed it up really well, and I'm going to show you that now.
There is this study which is being rejected by the Christian Democratic Union, Christian Social Union, and Social Democratic Party. They claim it was misinterpreted, involved only a small amount last year, and was based on the 2024 budget. But this study does exist, and both studies conclude that over 80% of the funds were not invested that way. Namely, additionally, as was originally agreed with the Greens, which
Yeah, don't mess with the Greens, especially not when they have the upper hand on television. Yes, they annoyed the Greens, and that's pretty stupid because with the climate issue, they've shot themselves in the foot. That the alternative for Germany is demanding this, yes, and thus the right wingers, that's just on the side for now. By the way, there were also some pretty harsh attacks, especially because of Manfred Weber from the Alternative for Germany, but I'll spare you the details about that. However, I think that's going to open a huge can of worms because we didn't pour money into climate ideological projects, but instead even released our strategic oil reserves. And because we lied to the people. Then someone like Droge comes along and says, we need a country that simply works. And she literally said, let me just quickly tell you this before I cut anything else in here. Yeah, she said, as if Friedrich Merz should finally realize that Germany should come first. Wow. And I have to ask myself, man, seriously, and that coming from the Greens, who are usually only for Europe and say, let's let Europe perish. And all that, that really rounds things off today. Please forgive me. I hope I don't have a fever anymore tomorrow and that I'll be able to make halfway decent videos again. But the last election showed me that I simply have to do more to reach more people. That's no longer possible here in Germany, that a Green leads a state government in one of the most important federal states we have here in Germany, and soon it's Saxony-Anhalt. And I think we should do everything right now, especially to reach these people. So please go out and inform people that Social Democratic Party and Christian Democratic Union are lying to you through and through. And just briefly about by the way, there were two videos. Yes, in these two videos where I put in duplicate clips, please forgive me for that. I have a very high fever and somehow ended up putting that in. I always do it with hotkeys that I set up. But since I can hardly remember the clips or what I said in the previous clip, it just happened. I'm really sorry. I hope you'll forgive me for that. Feel free to write it in the comments below. Now I wish you a wonderful evening.